50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Easy, lad. There's too many of them. Let them go. Keep a low profile and hold your fire. Try to anticipate their paths. If you have to maneuver, do it slow and steady. No quick movements.
Ah, that sequence. God 4, the one that started it all. Except for, Anyway, we all know that God has declined in some way or the other. But how did we get here? Has God always been like this? Is it just our rose-tinted glasses? Well, let's take down Zakhaev, do whatever we did in Advanced Warfare, and let's get into this. Now, I will be splitting this video into chapters about each game, and I'm going to go in a little in-depth on each one of them. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Also, giant spoiler warning for anybody who hasn't played much of the COD games. I mean, you know, like, any COD games. And if you're going through one, and this might spoil one of you, so I'm giving you about 10 seconds. Spoiler for one of you, sorry. I'm giving you 10 seconds, and I'm going to talk about the Act Man right now. He's a great YouTuber for great reviews. Link in the description. He's great. Uh, anyway, yeah. So for anyone who doesn't want to get spoiled, are you gone? Okay, let's do this. So these first few games are what I'd like to call the era of humble beginnings for COD. Now, let's move on to the next era with Call of Duty 4. Well, to understand the present, we must go into the past so we can make a better future. That's what history is about. So, let's go back to World War II with Call of Duty 1. Now, granted, I don't know much about Call of Duty 1, and hence why this is going to be a short chapter, but but it's quite basic from what I've heard. It's the first COD, obviously, and the gameplay is great. But kudos for them for delivering this in 2003. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The multiplayer was okay, but it was good for 2003, and it is what launched the entire franchise. Now, I don't really know much about Call of Duty 2 except that it improved on COD 1 in a lot of ways, that it was also really good for the time, and that it was one of the biggest games that year. I don't really know much about this game. Sorry to any COD 2 fans out there. I promise the chapters will get longer once we hit COD 4. So I don't know much about Call of Duty. Sorry guys, I don't really know much about the original Call of Duty. Except it's the last COD before COD 4. And yeah, the last three have been quickies, but the next chapter is way longer possibly. So these first few games are what I'd like to call the era of humble beginnings for COD. Now, let's move on to the next era with Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4. Holy crap, this game was the best. The campaign was incredible, the story was great, and so here's a short version. Since there's a revolution in Russia, imminent Zakhaev was to bring back the old rule of Soviet-style government with his ultranationalists. We started SOAP at an SAS training facility, and we passed basic training and is shipped onto a ship, pun not intended, with his SAS squad. They take down the crew and find a manifest showing a relation between the Russian ultranationalists and a rebel group in the Middle East. Sergei funded them so that it would take international attention away from the US, away from him. The US and Britain decide to intervene as a police action after the president of the country is assassinated. We then invade the Middle East and take down Al Assad's propaganda. We reach the capital while Price and his squad rescue Nikolai and attempt to escape Russia. A nuke goes off in the capital and it turns out Al Assad was never there. Price interrogates Al Assad and finds out that Zakiv is pulling the strings. So to find his location, they go to his son. His son commits dead, so Zakiv gets pissed off and decides to launch nukes at the Western powers. Price said so slot the bastard, and yeah, that's the story. The gameplay was fun and engaging, and who could forget missions like Olga Lead Up and Death Row Above? God 4 was iconic, and I haven't even talked about the multiplayer, the one that changed gaming and first person shooters forever. The games were sort of balanced, and no one had ever heard of a system like the kill streaks. The map design was really good with iconic maps like Shipment. You can't go wrong. Overall, it was incredible, and the idea that choosing your class changed the appearance of your soldier was so smart. I just loved it. Now, Call of Duty World at War was a turn to World War II. How was it? It was incredible. The campaign follows two people, Dmitry Petrenko of the Red Army and Private Miller of the US Army. Now, one focuses on gameplay while the other focuses on story. The Soviet side for the story and the American side for the gameplay. The Soviet side follows the Red Army's push from Stalingrad to Berlin, while the American side is in the Pacific against the Japanese. The multiplayer was great. God of War, but in World War II. And map design was great with great maps like Dome and others. They were so iconic. Weapon design was great, but the MP40 was just a tad bit overpowered. And the Nazi zombies, my god. Holding out on your own and seeing what wave you could get to was so much fun. And it opened up so much lore and fun for the franchise. And overall, I think World of War is incredible, and without it, the God franchise, like God 4, wouldn't be the same. Modern Warfare 2. This game is best described as God 4 on a week long cocaine binge, and it was controversial because of. Anyway, the action was incredible, but at the time, and to this day, people critiqued the game for creating the high, crazy action set pieces that just wasn't a part of COD's identity at the time. It started a trend that COD game just made everything like a Michael Bay movie, like that infamous COD World War II scene. But the game itself is a masterpiece. The campaign was really good. So the story is basically that Private Allen is sent undercover with Makarov and is killed, and because they found an American body, Russia declares war. Soup and Roach follow a trail to find Makarov. Shepard then betrays them. Price and Soap kill Shepard. The multiplayer was really good, and
Roach,
it's up there with
some of us have
Halo
no
3.
idea where he
More
is.
iconic
Let's
maps,
take this nice and
and
slow.
the selection
You take the one on
was
the left.
great.
On three.
Weapon
One,
selection.
two,
I mean, and multiplayer was just really good. With the new, it was incredible, as well as great maps like, I forgot the one. What was the one with the crane? Yeah, but I still remember it, but I can't recall a single one of called World War II's maps. Anyway, it was great. And Spec Ops, which is Infinity Ward's answer to
same
Treyarch's
plan.
Nazi zombies.
On three.
It was okay.
One,
I mean, with the
two,
rest of Modern Warfare
three.
2, it seemed okay. It was a fun game mode
Nice
nonetheless.
work.
One of my all-time favorites. For once, I won't be going in depth on the campaign because everyone has to play this game for themselves. And Black Ops was set during the Cold War. The multiplayer was great, allowing you to get what you want when you wanted with card points. And the Witcher matches were great. And Nazi Zombies is back, but improved and with more overall fun. Black Ops is one of the goats, and Dead Ops Arcade. They didn't need to include this, but they did care and they put in the effort. And yeah, my God bless Black Ops, man. One of the best games of all time. Now, this era of God is the badass rise to power, cool because he isn't even trying to be cool era of God. Now, we're going to go into not so great era of God. Well, I mean, it isn't that as bad as people say, but it isn't as good as the last four games. Modern Warfare 3. Now, people say Modern Warfare 3 is when COD started to decline, and I'm gonna have to disagree. While yes, Modern Warfare 3 was a downgrade compared to the other games, it is when the whole annual release thing was getting on people's nerves. It isn't when the series started to decline drastically, like people think. Uh, and it was, you know, it was okay. That's what I'm trying to say. It's okay. The campaign was just essentially the end. Soap dies and Price kill Makarov. In the end, obviously, this is a major simplification, but let's move on. The multiplayer, while great, wasn't as good as the other entries, and everyone just felt the entire game was just very samey to Modern Warfare 2. They felt like they had bought this game before. Spec Ops, on the other hand, was really good, and people really enjoyed it, and that's about it. Yeah, Black Ops 2 is considered the last good Call of Duty before the dark times, before God Ghosts. Now, Black Ops 2's campaign might be the best in the franchise because of the choices that have an impact on the story. You have your really good choice, your really good ending and your really bad ending. And this has only been brought back in Cold War, and it boggles my mind for why, because it worked so well in Black Ops 2 and Black Ops Cold War when it was implemented. Anyway, the multiplayer was the truly last good multiplayer with incredible maps like Hijack. No wonder the weapons. No wonder. The weapons were great, but it did lack in the zombies department. Overall, Black Ops 2 is, and always will be, well, hopefully not always will be, the last good Call of Duty. Now, this era was the, wait, it's getting worse era, where everyone's kind of getting sick of the whole annual release formula, and people were slowly leaving the franchise. Now, boy, do I have a lot to say about this game. Oh my god. God Ghosts, I hate it. The campaign was so forgettable. I don't even remember the characters. And the only thing I remember from the multiplayer was the pain of looking for players for 10 minutes only to die in 3 seconds and repeat because of the size of the map. This is gone. Why are they so big? And they didn't even bother increasing the player count. And don't even get me started on Exodus or Extinction or what the hell it's called. I forgot, man. I hate this game. And this is when COD started to really decline. No Modern Warfare 3. That was a slight decline. This was a massive decline. What? This is a game? Alright, the game that started the F meme. Shoot, the game sucked. And the F meme still lives today, but the game's multiplayer servers don't. And the campaign was just bad, except for Kevin Spacey, which I mean, take that as you will. And the multiplayer was just bad, and I don't even think there was a third game mode in this game. God, it was forgettable. This may be the most forgettable game in the franchise, Jesus Christ. This game sucked. The multiplayer was bad. I guess this can be the title screen for Modern Warfare 3 as well, but whatever. Everyone's reaction to this was wait, the future? Again? What the hell? Battlefield demolished COD that year because they just kept going around with the futuristic, um, era, and Battlefield just decided to go to World War One, something that hadn't been tried before. By the way, I love Battlefield 1 so much, and Infinite Warfare is just so bad. People say the campaign was good, but in my opinion, it was just okay. The multiplayer was laughably bad. You could buy guns. What the hell? And again, 3 lane maps with no flavor. The zombies or whatever was okay. I don't know. Infinite Warfare was just a tipping point. At this point, everyone knew Call of Duty was just, a recycled franchise. I mean, everyone knew by Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, but whatever. Okay, now this game may be the worst COD game ever. Either this or Ghost. Anyway, a return to World War II, but it's a poor man's version of World War. And the campaign it's just generic. It's the most generic thing on the planet. Oh yeah, and this game doesn't even acknowledge any other countries that fought in World War II except for America, Germany, and maybe Britain. It has the same Saving Private Ryan feel. It's just Yeah, you know that stuff that happened in like the early 2000s, and that massive trend about, oh, we have to do World War II and recreate the landings at Normandy for the 500 billionth time, and it's just like Private Ryan. It's and all of it just like Saving Private Ryan, but with nothing that made Saving Private Ryan great. I even remember the story, and I also recall some social justice stuff with a few characters that would just say, "Oh yeah, we have a female. Oh yeah, we have an African American," without going into anything that can make these characters have sense. I mean, like make these characters make sense in this thing. I mean, that's not to say you can't include characters like this. I mean, can't include women or African Americans in a World War II game. Of course you can, but you have to do it right. Like the lady character was just a generic British lady slapped in the middle of World War II. No flavor whatsoever that would make this convincing. The French resistance lady is one example of something that makes sense because she's a French resistance lady, and the other one doesn't. And the other social justice character was just this mechanic called Howard they threw in for like two missions, and he has like 15 minutes you know, gameplay time. You just see him for like 15 minutes and then he leaves. Just be there. And he's like, oh yeah, I owe you apologies and cheesy shit at the end. And the multiplayer was just so bad. It's just the same game. And Nazi zombies just didn't hold up. It was just awful again. Oh my god, World War Two. Just I hope this game just gets put down one day and they stop selling copies. But until that day comes, we have to suffer with its existence. Yo, where did they keep the campaign? There's no campaign in the game. It's just a generic battle royale. Why would they do that? The campaign's a Call of Duty staple, and it was just awful. And the multiplayer was just the same thing again. Why? And Call of Duty was basically near death at this point. Only the people who played Call of Duty and bought the game every year bought the game, and people who wanted to check out the battle royale. That's it. You know. Well, it was that way until, well, you'll see. Now, this was the recycled era of garbage, of God. Well, let's move on to the next era. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This brought back COD in a way, and it was kinda good. The campaign was so good, and the turn of characters in a rebooted setting was great. The story was one part good, one part okay. I mean, sorry, one part great, one part okay. So it was possible. The multiplayer was good at first, but SBMM screwed it over, and the skins added later felt cartoonish. The gunsmith was great, and Spec Ops was awful at first and became okay later on. Now, I will talk about Warzone with an expert later on because this needs its own separate video. The campaign of Black Ops Cold War was good, and the branching paths from BO2 make it a turn. And it was pretty good with three separate endings. Anyway, the multiplayer was just the same with SBMM screwing everybody over. Zombies is okay. So here we are, present day. Call of Duty Vanguard is gonna release soon, and frankly, I don't care. It's gonna be Modern Warfare with a skin, and it's gonna be lazy, and I don't know about the campaign yet or the third game mode. We learned that annual franchises get stale, and COD just isn't what it used to be. I hope a new COD comes in the future that can blow us away, but I highly doubt it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. This took a really long time to make, and I'll see y'all next time.